Good afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon, a shakeup at President Bongbong Marcos's team as PCO Acting Secretary Cesar Chavez resigns. Catholics continue to gather in Rome to pray for Pope Francis amid his hospitalization. A legal showdown looming between U.S. President Donald Trump and New York over the city's congestion pricing program. And take a look at a robot in Italy that's helping construction workers in high-risk tasks. Thanks for joining us. We begin with a shakeup at the Presidential Communications Office. PCO Acting Secretary Cesar Chavez has resigned. He will be replaced by former broadcaster Jay Ruiz on the 28th. Chavez reveals he filed his irrevocable resignation on February 5th. He says he is leaving with one regret, that he has fallen short of what was expected of him. Chavez thanks President Marcos for the opportunity to serve and for the trust and confidence placed in him. Last week, Chavez said he was going on leave. President Marcos is counting on the military to ensure a credible and orderly elections in May. Our Pierre Pastor joins us from Malacanang. Pierre?
Yes, Mai. President Bongbong Marcos this morning led the oath-taking of Vice Admiral Jose Maria Ambrosio Espeleta, the flag officer in command of the Philippine Navy, and 34 other newly promoted general and flag officers, including 9 graduates of the Foreign Pre-Commissioned Training Institutions, or FPCTI. The GFOs and the graduates of the FPCTI were accompanied by their immediate family officers of the Department of National Defense, headed by DND Secretary Gilbert Chidoro, and the officers of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, headed by AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner Jr. The oath-taking is their voluntary acceptance of the duties and responsibilities with the ranks and designation given to them. The assumption of responsibilities of the GFOs and the newly commissioned officers signify their willingness and readiness to become leaders of the AFP, aimed to secure the Filipino people and the country of internal and external threats. In the speech of the President, he mentioned that he is counting on the AFP to ensure a peaceful, credible, and orderly conduct of the elections in May.
Each of you here have your fair share of challenges in protecting the Filipino people and in protecting our nation. But you have risen above those challenges. You persevered in improving our country's security. You have pursued reforms to better your organization, and you have taken steps to enhance your capabilities. This day is dedicated to those achievements. The courage, dedication, and patriotism of those who have taken the mantle of leadership in the armed forces deserve the highest recognition and admiration from a proud and grateful nation. So in behalf of the entire Filipino citizenry, I extend my sincerest congratulations to the 35 newly promoted AFP generals and flag officers and to the 9 graduates of foreign pre-commissioned training institutions. As your Commander-in-Chief, I offer you my salute and express my utmost appreciation to all your selfless sacrifices and services, not only to get to this point, but all through the years of your duty. This, of course, extends to your families and loved ones who have had their fair share of sacrifices to support you in your career. To quote Winston Churchill during the Second World War, they serve too. Those who wait for their loved ones to come back from war also serve. Once again, congratulations to all of you. Maraming salamat. Mabuhay ang sandatahang lakas ng Pilipinas.
Mai?
Thank you. Pierre Pastor reporting. Authorities also keeping watch over high-threat areas amid the election season. Our Paulo Barcelon is in Quezon City, where a non-government organization presented its start-of-year conflict report on the Bangsamoro region. Hi, Paulo. What more can you tell us?
Good afternoon, Mai. International Conflict Monitoring NGO Climate Conflict Actions data shows a rise in overall conflict incidents in the Bangsamoro region. In its 2025 year starter report, they recorded 2,951 incidents, which is a 24% increase compared to the over 2,400 they recorded in 2023. They say this trend is also raising serious concerns for the conduct of the national elections, as they are also monitoring 28 active clan feuds, 13 of which involving the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. Climate Conflict Action Executive Director Professor Pancho Lara highlighted 5 key recommendations for authorities for the conduct of the polls, such as establishment of an independent election monitoring system, a full enforcement of the gun ban, political settlements between warring factions, preventing last-minute reshuffling of election officers, and backing up declarations of violence-free areas by auditing election expenditures and providing efficient government services. Mai, for its part, the Philippine National Police has confirmed a couple or 2 election-related incidents in the Bangsamoro and over 1,000 people arrested for election gun ban violations, of which 28 came from the Bangsamoro. 2 days ago, the Philippine Army's 4th Infantry Division hosted a regional security conference for the elections aimed at boosting security in the region. Division Commander Brigadier General Michel Anayron Jr. said agencies can directly contact the military, as they and other security agencies are working on assessing identified election areas of concern as well as threats to the region's overall security. Mai?
Paulo, what does Climate Change Action stand on the postponement of the Bangsamoro elections, and how do they believe will it affect the polls?
Well, Maya, CCA earlier said that they are reiterating their stance that they're not in favor of the postponement of the elections. One of the reasons, Mai, is that based on their monitoring, the region is a hotbed for illegal economic activities such as arms trafficking, smuggling of cigarettes, and as well as drugs. And their suggestion, Mai, if not the postponement of the elections, is to have a firearms registry in the region, so that the firearms that are being used not just by police but also by different individuals and groups in the region would be tracked. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you. Paulo Barcelon reporting live from Quezon City. All survey firms are now required to register before the poll body. In a resolution, the COMELEC says any individuals or organizations conducting election surveys must register first with their Political Finance and Affairs Department. Firms that have already been surveying prior to the resolution have 15 days to register. The COMELEC has previously said it intends to regulate poll surveys to prevent them from influencing voters. The camp of senatorial candidate Apollo Kibuloy defends airing an allegedly unauthorized video at a prayer rally while he's in jail. Lawyer Israelito Torion insists it was done with proper court approval. He adds their motion to air the video was granted after a full-blown hearing. On Bilyonaryo News Channel's agenda, COMELEC Chairman George Garcia says they have not received any complaint against Kibuloy regarding the issue, but he assures the public they will immediately act on any election offense complaint that may be filed against Kibuloy or other candidates.
Bagamat hindi ko pa po talaga fully nakikita yung buong kalaman ng video, tayo po'y maghihintay kung sakali may magpa-file ng kaso dito sa atin. Mahirap po ako magsabi kaagad at mag-conclude na ito ay isang election offense o may ground ba talaga to declare Mr. Kibuloy as having committed election offense. Baka naman po ma-preempt natin. Pero definitely, pagka may na-file po sa atin, kaagad natin po yung a-actionan upang magkaroon kaagad ng kaliwanagan kung sakali magkakaroon po ng kaso.
Government officials in Pasay in trouble over the alarming presence of pogos in the city. The Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission says they are looking at filing charges against the LGU. The PAOK adds they have been working with the Justice and Interior Departments to strengthen the case buildup. A number of pogo raids were recently carried out in Pasay City, including one in the basement of Heritage Hotel. PAOK spokesman Winston Casio says they're also studying the hotel's criminal liability in harboring illegal offshore gaming operators.
We are doing case build-up against some local chief executives here in the metro because a good number of the POGO that we have raided in the last few months were located here in Metro Manila. You could always look at Google where most of these raids in Metro Manila were conducted. So obviously, the LGU, the local chief executive in that particular location is also being investigated. Unfortunately, I could not divulge the details of the case build-up. No? But you can always read between the lines kasi sunod-sunod na po yung raid sa kanyang teritoryo.
Meanwhile, the government is expected to earn up to 30 billion pesos from the seized assets of shuttered POGOs. The PAOK says the estimated value of these properties ranges between 20 to 30 billion pesos. President Bongbong Marcos formally announced a ban on POGOs during his third SONA last year, citing their social costs and ties to illegal activities. The ban took effect last January 1st, triggering a mass exodus of POGO workers and leaving billions in assets up for grabs. In other news, the Armed Forces of the Philippines denounces China's latest act of bullying in the West Philippine Sea. It urges the Chinese Navy to respect Manila's sovereignty and adhere to international law. More from Francis Falve.
U.S. Ambassador Mary Kay Carlson condemned the dangerous maneuver of a PLA Navy helicopter in Bajo de Masinloc Tuesday. According to Carlson, the pilots and passengers on the Philippine Air mission were put in danger. The National Maritime Council also criticized the actions of the PLA Navy helicopter, which tailed the BPAR Cessna during a maritime domain awareness flight. As a result, the Philippines will file another diplomatic protest against China. Journalists were on board the BPAR plane observing Chinese vessels in Bajo de Masinloc when the Chinese Navy chopper suddenly appeared. This is not the first time such an incident happened, but it is said to be the most dangerous maneuver the PLA Navy has taken against the Philippines.
When it came close to the BPAR aircraft yesterday, the distance was only basically 3 meters. No? There are two instances that they did dangerous maneuver. The first one was that close, 3 meters above the port side ng aircraft. So the tendency, kung meron kang propeller wash yung helicopter, which means it pushes down, no? Gumilid siya sa left side ng aircraft. So ibig sabihin, may force siya na pinupush yung left wing ng aircraft. So the pilot really had a hard time to stabilize the aircraft habang nag-hover siya on the top of the aircraft. And then the second one, of course, the helicopter should have observed the proper and safe distance. Dahil alam naman natin how dangerous it will be. Konting banggaan lang, no? With that close proximity can lead to disaster.
The AFP also condemned China's latest act of bullying in the West Philippine Sea. They described the incident as illegal, aggressive, and a blatant disregard of internationally accepted norms on good airmanship and flight safety. The AFP urged the Chinese Navy to respect the Philippine sovereignty and adhere to international law. China, on the other hand, claimed that the Philippine aircraft illegally entered Chinese airspace, prompting them to deploy naval and air units to drive it away.
As far as the government is concerned, and in reference with the Philippine Maritime Zones Act, we have sovereignty over the waters of Bajo de Masinloc. That is actually our territorial airspace.
In 2016, the arbitral ruling dismissed China's claim over maritime areas within the Philippines' EEZ. Francis Polbe, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Italy's Prime Minister visiting the ailing Pope Francis in Rome. Giorgia Meloni says Francis was alert and responsive and hasn't lost his proverbial sense of humor. Outside the hospital, well-wishers, including school children, arrived to pray and leave notes of encouragement for the 88-year-old Pope who has been diagnosed with double pneumonia.
We decided to do this walk to pray for a person we care so much about, a person who is not just the head of our church. He is an extraordinary person in all respects. He has given so much to humanity. He has done so much for peace so that there is no violence in the world. And so we pray that this person can be with us as much as possible. I wish him a good, speedy recovery, and he will regain so much strength because the Lord wants him to continue to follow us, to guard us, and to make the Jubilee year with so much joy and so much strength.
Prayers also pouring for Pope Francis in his hometown of Buenos Aires in Argentina. Manila Archbishop Jose Cardinal Advincula also urging Filipinos to pray for the Pope's speedy recovery. He also calls on the public to include all the doctors and nurses who are taking care of Francis in their prayers. Cardinal Advincula also requesting parishes to organize community prayers for the ailing pontiff. A legal showdown looms between Donald Trump and New York as the U.S. president wants to strike down the city's congestion pricing program. Declaring himself king on social media, Trump says the toll system is dead. The White House claims it has jurisdiction over highways leading into New York, and the controversial program unfairly burdens working-class residents in the region. But New York officials are standing their ground.
I'm here to say New York hasn't labored under a king in over 250 years. And we sure as hell are not going to start now. The streets of this city where battles were fought, we stood up to a king, and we won then. And we will. In case you don't know, New Yorkers, we're in a fight. We do not back down, not now, not ever. I don't care if you love congestion pricing or hate it. This is an attack on our sovereign identity, our independence from Washington.
Some royal news now as Britain's King Charles visits the Centre for Injury Studies at London's Imperial College. He was accompanied by Ukrainian ambassador to highlight the UK's efforts to help those injured in Russia's war in Ukraine. During his visit, the king was shown the latest technology used in dealing with injuries and rehabilitation.
We're so glad that Imperial College is able to have this obviously very effective relationship with Unbroken. And I'm only hoping I'm not causing a terrible disruption to your normal working activities there. I know how busy and how committed you all are, and hope that you could give my kindest thoughts and wishes to all your team, if I may say so.
We're taking a break. Still to come, the Ayala Group expands medical benefits for its employees to mark National Cancer Awareness Month. The details when we return. Stay with us. You're back on Newsfeed at noon. Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel is bent on convincing the Senate leadership to start the impeachment trial against Vice President Sara Duterte. Let's get the latest from Hannah T, who joins us live from the Senate. Hannah.
The Senate's next move on the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte remains unclear, but Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel is pushing for immediate action. After writing a letter to Senate President Cheese Escudero about the impeachment, he now wants a caucus among senators to clarify Escudero's position, and he argues that a special session called by the President is not necessary to begin the trial. He insists that the Senate has the power to convene itself as an impeachment court as long as they have a quorum, and that waiting for President Bongbong Marcos Jr. to call a session would only delay what he calls a constitutional obligation. With the impeachment articles transmitted to the Senate earlier this month, Pimentel notes that by the time they're included in the order of business on June 2, 4 months will have passed. Too long, he says, for a matter this crucial. He also dismisses the idea that the upcoming campaign season should affect the timeline and adds that senators must fulfill their duties regardless of politics. For him, the public must pressure lawmakers to follow the Constitution, not just focus on whether they want a conviction or not. Senator Risa Ontiveros has reached out to Pimentel about the matter, a sign that support for immediate action on the impeachment is gaining momentum. But he acknowledges that many senators may be aligning with Escudero's timeline, which is why he wants a caucus to happen. Mai?
So, Hannah, does this mean Senator Pimentel will once again send another formal letter to Senate President Cheese Escudero?
Yes, Mai. In fact, he says that if he bumps to Senate President Cheese Escudero here at the Senate, he will talk to him about his request for the caucus among the senators. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you for that report, Hannity, live from the Senate. Saudi Aramco making a strategic return to the Philippines as it secures a 25% stake in Unioil Petroleum Philippines. This comes nearly 2 decades after Aramco sold its 40% stake in Petroleum Corporation in 2008. It also comes at a time of heightened global oil volatility as major producers look to strengthen their footprint in fast-growing economies. This deal could signal a new era of competition in the local oil retail sector with implications on pricing, supply security, and industry dynamics. On to the automobile sector as the government is preparing 250 million pesos in incentives to boost the local car industry. Officials say the administration is set to launch the Revitalizing the Automotive Industry for Competitiveness Enhancement or RACE program. This aims to reignite the auto industry by offering incentives to car manufacturers who commit to local production at scale. The program, which will be implemented by the Trade Department, will require car makers to produce at least 200,000 units of an enrolled model to qualify for the incentives. A lesser-known segment of the outsourcing industry gains traction. PAGCOR showing support for the Special Class Business Process Outsourcing or SCBPO sector. PAGCOR Chairman and CEO Alejandro Tenco highlighted its role in creating high-skilled jobs for Filipinos. Nearly 5,000 Filipinos are employed in the industry. PAGCOR ensures these facilities operate strictly as support services and do not engage in gambling or betting operations. The Ayala Group expands medical benefits for its employees, coinciding with National Cancer Awareness Month. This comes amid rising healthcare costs and growing demand for stronger workplace benefits. Sujin Kim with the details.
As the nation observes National Cancer Awareness Month, the Ayala Group has taken a historic step, becoming the first conglomerate in the Philippines to sign the Working with Cancer pledge. Led by Bilyonaryo Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala, this initiative aims to empower and support employees battling cancer as well as their families.
But tens of thousands of employees, of cancer patients, are employees working in large corporate settings or workforces, some of whom we don't know, some of whom don't tell us that they have cancer.
As part of this program, the Ayala Group provides free cancer screenings and preventive care, expanded medical benefits, financial assistance for treatment, and emotional support through counseling. According to Ayala, the goal is to ease the burden on cancer patients, allowing them to focus on recovery rather than financial strain.
At Ayala, we believe that no one should have to choose between their health and their career. Across the industries where we operate, the Ayala Group has always prioritized our people, ensuring that our workplaces empower and support them. Taking the Working with Cancer Pledge is a natural extension of this commitment.
Beyond this initiative, the Ayala Group is also expanding its cancer care services through Healthway Cancer Care Hospital, the country's first specialty hospital dedicated to cancer treatment. Located in Taguig City, the facility represents Ayala's commitment to providing quality and affordable medical services to Filipinos.
Our PET CT scan is one of the most affordable in the country at 50% less than other hospitals. Some of our essential drugs for cancer, for chemotherapy and immunotherapy, are at 70% less than what you see in other hospitals. This is our commitment.
Employees from companies under the Ayala Group, including Ayala Corporation, Ayala Land, BPI, Globe, and ASEN Energy, among others, will benefit from these programs.
We want our people to know that if they ever face this challenge, they will not face it alone. They will have colleagues, leaders, and an entire organization behind them. We invite companies across industries to join the Working with Cancer Pledge.
With this move by the Ayala Group, the call for more compassionate and inclusive workplaces grows stronger across the country. Sujin Kim, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Up ahead, a potential game changer in Italy as a robot is now helping workers on high-risk tasks in construction. That and more when Newsfeed at noon returns.
culinary world is in.
You're back on Newsfeed at noon. Again, the headlines. A shakeup at President Bongbong Marcos's team as PCO Acting Secretary Cesar Chavez resigns. Catholics continue to gather in Rome to pray for Pope Francis amid his hospitalization. A legal showdown looming between U.S. President Donald Trump and New York over the city's congestion pricing program. And a look at a robot in Italy that's helping construction workers in high-risk tasks. The Agriculture Department is investigating complaints of bukbok or weevils found in rice. This comes as local officials in Metro Manila are moving to make rice more affordable. Paolo Barcelon reports.
Almost 70 towns and cities in the country will soon get NFA rice stocks, as Agriculture Secretary Francisco Tiu Laurel and some local officials say sale of the cheap rice will start on Monday. Tiu Laurel says the aim is to lower rice prices and help local farmers by buying their grain. The government earlier allotted 9 billion pesos to purchase palay for buffer stocks. The agency also confirmed that a stall at the Murphy Market in Quezon City sold rice infected with weevils, locally known as bukbok. The stall was ordered to stop selling the insect-laden rice.
Just like to clarify that that is not NFA rice. No, hindi NFA rice yung may bukbok. Confirmed na may bukbok, pinaimbestigahan ko na to, and definitely it is an isolated incident. Pinakita ko nga kay Mayor at kay Congressman yung mga tags dito, which you can see, meron dyan 1-day-old stock pa lang. Meron 2.12 months, meron 1 month pa lang.
This is just part of the 150,000 metric tons of rice from government stocks that authorities aim to sell to local government units over the next 6 months. In total, over 300,000 metric tons of rice will be sold to the market for the entire year. Local governments in Metro Manila are also preparing for the sale of cheap rice. Metro Manila Council Chairman and San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora says around 1,000 sacks of rice will be sold in their city for 33 pesos per kilo starting Monday. Zamora says he aims to sell all his stock before local election campaigning begins on March 28th.
If we start, for instance, on Monday, then we will try to finish as fast as we can. Hindi na siya umabot po sa election period.
The DA says local governments can determine the amount of rice a person can buy as long as it's priced from 33 to 35 pesos per kilo. Aside from Metro Manila, Camarines Sur, Isabela, Cebu City, Cagayan de Oro, and Zamboanga are among the first areas in Visayas and Mindanao to receive the rice shipments. Paulo Barcelon, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
U.S. President Donald Trump not mincing words as he calls Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky a dictator. Zelensky's 5-year term was supposed to end in 2024, but elections couldn't be held under martial law, which Kyiv imposed in February 2022 in response to Russia's invasion. Trump is hoping for a ceasefire soon, but his personal rift with Zelensky is feared to have major implications on efforts to end the conflict. The Biden administration has provided money and weapons to Ukraine, but Trump made an abrupt policy shift by opening talks with Moscow just weeks after returning to the White House.
President Zelensky talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war that basically couldn't be won, that never had to start and never would have started if I was president, not even a chance. And it didn't start for 4 years, never would have started. But a war that he, without the U.S. and Trump, will never be able to settle. They'll never settle that war without our involvement. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered, and millions of people have unnecessarily died. And you can't bring a war to an end if you don't talk to both sides. You got to talk. They haven't been talking for 3 years. So we hope to see a ceasefire soon and to reestablish stability in Europe and the Middle East.
Technology has indeed come a long way as a prototype robot is now helping humans in high-risk tasks. Called Concert, the robot has been tested on a building site in Italy, working alongside construction workers, drilling, sanding, painting, and helping carry heavy materials. And it can be quickly reconfigured for a wide range of scenarios in workspaces.
The Concert platform offers different modes of operation. It can be used as a collaborative platform executing a physical demanding and repetitive construction tasks together with the human operators, but at the same time offers autonomous functionalities in which the platform can work alone inside the construction site with a minimal human supervision. We're also working and exploring the use of AI and the machine learning tools in order to provide the system with reasoning capabilities. And one capability that we're particularly focusing is the ability of the system to assess the quality of the task that it's executing. Based on this evaluation, a plan for additional corrections and reworks that may be needed to be performed in order to reach the necessary level of quality.
Apple unveils what it touts to be the most budget-friendly iPhone 16. The iPhone 16e is built for Apple Intelligence and powered by the latest generation chip, A18. It comes with a 48MP Fusion camera and will be available in black and white matte finishes. Prices start at $599, $200 cheaper than the base iPhone 16 model. Pre-orders in the U.S. begin Friday, February 21. We're taking another breather. Still to come, Mindy Kaling becomes the latest actor to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Stay with Newsfeed at noon.
Well, believe it or not, we kind of missed the train on this AI chip. Kind of drove away some investments that should have come to the Philippines. These investments would have positioned us to be at the forefront of AI chips development and supply. But unfortunately, we missed the train on that one. And so, in fact, that's the reason why we've experienced contraction 10% 2 years ago, 8% this year. And essentially get back on track to attract this investments in new products and technologies. The new administration has basically recognized the semiconductor industry as a priority industry, and we've actually seen some actions, proactive actions in terms of helping us recover, like I said, from the doldrums of back-to-back contraction to hopefully help us turn the corner, maybe get some modest growth for 2025. And a big part of that really would be the correction of some of the weaknesses of the CREATE law. And so, in fact, that's why we have the Create More Act. And we're actually being asked to, our inputs have been solicited to see how the Create More law can be further improved, and hence we will be providing inputs with our to the IRR. We can't ignore what will happen in the future strategically for the to preserve the semiconductor industry as the main commodity export and livelihood. We have about 3 million direct and indirect workers, so we want to make sure that they get continuous employment and, of course, grow the industry beyond where we are today.
There's a call from the Secretary to be proactive, that there will be no sudden reduction in the volume of eggs that's produced, including monitoring the prices of egg. Sometimes when there is oversupply of egg, the tendency of the industry is to do culling to the point that there will be significant change in the volume of production. Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb.
The questions
How do you see this panning out?
Right now, more than a referendum, it's become a fight for survival.
The issues.
The enrolled bill is the one that was supposed to be forwarded to the president.
Exactly.
Hindi ho ba?
There has to be an enrolled bill.
Yeah.
We clarify matters.
Were there any surprises in yesterday's rally?
He stated facts naman there. Wala naman siyang sinabi na hindi factual.
Pinky Web is always on point.
You're still watching Newsfeed at noon. Mark your calendars, blinks, as Blackpink finally reveals the details of their comeback world tour. The tour will kick off in July at the Goyang Stadium in South Korea. It will be followed by stops in North America, Paris, Milan, Barcelona, and London. This will be the first time that the K-pop powerhouse will go on the road as a group since their Born Pink World Tour in 2022 and 2023. Over the past year, Jennie, Rosé, Jisoo, and Lisa have taken a break from group duties to focus on solo projects. Over to Hollywood as Mindy Kaling becomes the latest actor to get a star on the iconic Walk of Fame in Los Angeles. She was joined at the unveiling by her Office co-star and close friend BJ Novak. Kaling rose to fame with a hit series and has since created her own comedies like Never Have I Ever and The Mindy Project. She is the executive producer of the new Netflix show Running Point, starring Kate Hudson.
What's nice about having like an actual like physical manifestation of my success is I'm like, okay, unless something terrible happens, like that's gonna stay put for a while. With my shows, it feels so important to just put people who are normally on the side characters and let them be the stars, so people can see that, like, you know, we have Indian people, people of color, like we have the same dreams, the same wants, we make big mistakes, we have big desires. And I think if you can make content that shows those kinds of things, it's just like good for the world.
In sports, weightlifting queen Heidelin Diaz is chasing Olympic glory one more time. The country's first Olympic gold medalist is seeking to qualify for the 2028 Summer Games in Los Angeles. The rigorous qualification process begins next year. Heidelin says she will prioritize the qualifications instead of participating in regional events like this year's Southeast Asian Games. Meantime, Heidelin turns one of her lifelong advocacies into reality as weightlifting has been included at the Palarong Pambansa. It will be a demonstration sport in the event happening in Lawag, Ilocos Norte this year. She says she is working to make weightlifting a regular sport in the youth showcase. On to the UAAP season's 87th as the NU Lady Bulldogs remain perfect in their quest for back-to-back titles. The defending women's volleyball queens cruised past the Ateneo Blue Eagles Wednesday at the Philoil Eco Oil Center in San Juan. Eliza Solomon led the Sampaloc Bay squad with 12 points off 10 kills. In the next game, the UP Fighting Maroons win 2 in a row by escaping the FEU Lady Tamaraos in 4 sets. Joan Monares led the Diliman Bay squad with 19 points off 17 kills and 2 aces. Gilas Pilipinas, meanwhile, will be in action tonight for the final window of the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. The Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas unveiled the team's final 12 ahead of its match against Chinese Taipei at 7 p.m. You've got mainstays like Justin Brownlee, Junmar Fajardo, Japet Aguilar, Scotty Thompson, and Dwight Ramos. AJ Edu is back with 7'3" big man Kai Soto sidelined due to a knee injury. They will next face New Zealand Sunday, February 23 in Auckland. The Philippines is seeking to complete a clean sweep of the qualifiers. Gilas is already qualified for the Continental Showpiece in August. And over to Italy, where Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc give Ferrari's 2025 Formula One car its track debut. Leclerc went first before handing over the SF25 to his new 7-time world champion teammate. Ferrari will be chasing their first title since 2008 in what could be an even closer season than last year when they were runners-up to McLaren. Preseason testing starts in Bahrain next week with the opening race in Australia on March 16. And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Keep it here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Good afternoon.